There's a certain thing being brought up more and more often, and that thing is AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence. Now, this term is being used by the media quite a lot, but very few people actually know or can even comprehend what exactly AGI is and the impacts it can bring to society. So I'll define what is AGI, what it takes to achieve it, and show you evidence that it's already here. We just all missed the subtle details. Here's an example. OpenAI announced Sora 2 weeks ago. This was a revolutionary and super realistic video generation model. It can do this, and this, and this. Plus, it can merge videos. So you can see here it's combining input 1 and input 2 and merging them into the video in the center. You can also use text to edit and manipulate an existing video. So you can see here right now it's turning the top video into an old school car in the 1920s. Here you're making it go underwater. But wait a minute, this video looks really familiar. I think I saw something like 7 months ago. So I'm pulling back the video that I did 7 months ago on the NVIDIA Omniverse. And here's what they showcased. This NVIDIA Omniverse is basically a hyper-realistic representation of the world. It seems to understand physics and be able to generate any object or movement that exists. So look at that. It looks eerily familiar to Sora's car video, where you can change the car to a different color, or you can completely change the background of this car video. So it's a really subtle thing that I picked up, but it's really interesting. The release of Sora really shocked everyone. It took everyone by surprise. But if you look at the subtle details, this scene in particular looks very, very similar to the OpenAI Sora video. But keep in mind, this was 7 months ago. So here's the thing. It seems like this technology kind of existed months before already. I'll show you more evidence of this, but first let's rewind time and jump back to 2007. In this study, AI experts were asked, when will AI surpass human-level intelligence? The majority answer of 26% says 2030 to 2050. In this study, done in 2011, AI experts were asked, when do they think AGI will occur? And the average consensus was 2050. Another survey done in 2012 showed that 50% of experts think AGI will be achieved by 2040 to 2050, whereas 90% of them think it'll happen by 2075. Ray Kurzweil, computer scientist and author of the bestseller The Singularity is Near, thinks AGI will happen by 2045. Alright, so it seems like experts think it's at least 20 years away, and there's no need to worry, no need to panic, it's not going to come anytime soon. This super intelligent thing isn't coming soon to wreak havoc on humanity. But is that really the case? If you look at the most recent advancements in AI and robotics, from OpenAI's ChatGPT and Sora, to Tesla's Optimus Bot, to Google's Gemini, and Google's DeepMind and AlphaFold, AGI is not just coming closer than you think, but there are very compelling clues that it's already here. Did you know if you take a piece of paper and folded it in half 50 times, it would be taller than the distance from the Earth to the Sun? Now, before you think, this guy's crazy, I'm unsubscribed to this channel, let's do the math really quickly here. Now, a piece of paper is roughly 0.005 inches thick. If you folded it 50 times, you're multiplying it by 2 times the thickness of the paper to the power of 50, which equals around 5,629,000,000,000,000 inches. Now let's convert this into kilometers. 5,629,499, and I'm just going to add 6 zeros after that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 5,629,000,000,000, etc., etc. Let me just make sure there are 12 digits here. All right, so yeah, there are 12 digits, and this is e to the power of 12, so this is correct. So inches to kilometers, and you can see it is roughly 142 million kilometers. And the distance from the Earth to the Sun is around 148 million kilometers. So this is not crazy. If you fold a paper in half 50 times, you can almost reach from the Earth to the Sun. Now, I went on this tangent to show you the power of exponential growth, the power of compounding. Things can happen way quicker than you think. In computer science, there's a thing called Moore's Law, which states that the number of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years. everything else being equal. So going back to the folding paper analogy, if it only takes 2 years to double and you compound this over a long period of time, things can grow really quickly, especially as you start to pick up momentum. This comment on Reddit was posted 3 years ago. Imagine in a few years when we can make photorealistic videos from just a few sentences. AI is crazy. Now, this comment got 2 downvotes, and then this reply got 14 upvotes. Few years? Text-to-video isn't going to happen in our lifetime, bud, and especially not photorealistic. Maybe our grandkids might have it, lol. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, bud, but text-to-video is already here, and this guy obviously doesn't understand compounding and exponential growth. Moving back to our topic of AGI, what exactly is AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence? So far, we've seen AI tools that perform certain tasks very well. For example, ChatGPT is great for Q&A and chatting. Stable Diffusion is great for image generation. We have 11 Labs and RVC, which is great for literally cloning anyone's voice. And then we have things like Pika and Sora for video generation. But again, these are all specialized in only certain tasks. They can't do anything else well. So, for example, you can't get Midjourney to write an essay for you. You can't get ChatGPT to generate this video for you. So all these AI tools that I mentioned, these belong to the spectrum of artificial narrow intelligence. They're designed to perform certain tasks very well, but they can't generalize across other tasks. They can't do other tasks well. On the other end of the spectrum is artificial general intelligence, or AGI, which in a sense is just merging all of these narrow AGIs together to form this super AI which can perform tasks as well or even better than a human. It's able to generalize across different knowledge domains. So it doesn't matter if it's writing or stock trading or image generation, directing a movie, composing a symphony, etc. It is able to perform all of these tasks very well. And we're seeing more and more of this being unveiled. So for example, going back to this OpenAI Sora video or NVIDIA's Omniverse showcase, you can see that the AI they have trained understands the physics of the real world. It understands how light and shadows work. It understands how waves move and what happens when they hit the shoreline. It understands how objects and different types of objects in the real world move in space and time. Google's AlphaFold understands biochemistry. It's able to understand how certain types of chemical elements and protein molecules interact and combine with one another. Before, it would take people decades to figure this out. NVIDIA has created these foundation agents, which are basically AIs that are able to act autonomously, as if each one was a separate entity. So you can see here they've trained an AI to be a user in Minecraft, and it's able to learn by itself different tools and techniques without any guidance at all from a human. It's learning all of this by itself. And eventually these autonomous AIs are able to construct these very beautiful worlds in Minecraft, again, all by itself. Now, if you multiply this by like millions of simulations of millions of AI autonomous agents, you can see how crazy this can get. And then we have the Rabbit R1, which is an AI device where you simply talk to it and it can execute tasks for you, such as playing music, editing an Excel spreadsheet, booking an Uber, or ordering food for you. Again, all from just talking to it on a device. It knows how to do the task for you, like going to uber.com, booking a ride, inputting your address, your credit card info, etc. Or going to Spotify and choosing the right track for you and then playing the track. This isn't just like text generation or image generation. It's doing things across different domains. In addition to Rabbit, there's also more and more of these free open source AIs which you can download to your computer. And you basically, again, talk to it and then it can execute tasks for you on your computer. From creating a web page to editing some Excel files to writing an email for you, playing music for you. It can do all of these complex tasks which require multiple steps across different platforms. So one of them is called OS Copilot, and another one is called Multion. So we're seeing these autonomous agents that understand how to do things across different platforms, across different knowledge domains. They're not limited to just basic tasks like text generation or image generation. So we have clear evidence already that AI can achieve superhuman intelligence. In other words, for certain tasks, it is able to beat the best humans out there. We have trained AIs to beat the best Go players out there, the best chess players, StarCraft players, etc. It can write essays, it can pretty much ace medical exams, bar exams, and solve the world's hardest math problems. So the only piece missing is how do we merge all of these superhuman but narrow AIs into one super AI that can achieve all of those things. It can perform all of these tasks across different domains and quote-unquote generalize across platforms and domains and tasks. This is the definition of AGI. So one could argue we already have this, so what's the missing piece? Is it computing power? If we can make a chip that's powerful enough to train this super intelligent AI, then can we achieve AGI? That's why Sam Altman is seeking a mind-blowing $7 trillion of funding to form a new AI chip company. He doesn't just want to be the king of AI models, like ChatGPT, he wants to be the king of AI chips as well. He understands the importance of the hardware needed to support the software. So he's now in talks with the UAE as well as SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son to hopefully raise $7 trillion for this venture. Now, a lot of people can't even perceive how much $7 trillion is. So this is NVIDIA. If you look at NVIDIA, it's skyrocketed in value from just $100 all the way now to like $870 as of the date of this recording. And it's now one of the highest valued company in the USA. But even NVIDIA right now, at its peak, is only around 2 trillion USD. Apple's market cap is only 2.7 trillion. So to seek 7 trillion just to start a company is an absurd amount of money. As this article states, an AI chip 1,000 times as efficient as a CPU provides an improvement equivalent to 26 years of Moore's Law CPU improvements. So take a moment to digest that. We're not only seeing exponential growth of doubling performance in 2 years, we're seeing an acceleration of this growth. We're moving at an even faster pace than Moore's Law if we have these AI chips. Now let's look at the history of chips for AI computing and where we are at right now. Going back to Moore's Law, the computing power of chips should double every 2 years. Before this new deep learning era, which one would argue is just, the past few years with the explosion of AI, before that, the gold standard to use for training and running these AI models, the gold standard was these NVIDIA CUDA GPUs, which perform surprisingly well for machine learning and training neural networks. But as the name implies, GPU isn't specialized for AI training. It's specialized for graphics, such as video games. So in recent years, more and more chips are being developed that specialize in AI, such as NPUs or neural processing units and TPUs, tensor processing units. And each product announcement or unveiling by these tech giants just keep breaking the previous set benchmark records in terms of computing power or efficiency. Each product announcement just keeps leaving people speechless. So here's an example. In 2022, Stanford unveiled this AI new RAM chip, which is twice as energy efficient. The chip is about the size of a fingertip and does more work with limited battery power than what current chips at that time could do. It uses this novel resistive random access memory, or RRAM, that performs AI processing within the memory itself, therefore eliminating the separation between the compute and memory units. In late 2022, NVIDIA announced the H100 AI chip, which is the most highly demanded AI chip right now, reportedly up to 4.5 times faster than the previous AI chips. So AI computing is getting way better than just doubling every 2 years. You can see there's a huge scarcity of these NVIDIA H100 GPUs. Microsoft and Meta are just stockpiling these things. They need a lot of computing power for their AI tasks, and they're just ordering a ton of these. Google has their own tensor processing units, I believe. They've built their AI processing hardware in-house, so they don't need as much. But you can see there's a huge scarcity of these, and it's the most demanded AI chip right now. So that was the H100. Now in November 2023, NVIDIA announces the HGX H200 Tensor Core GPU, which has 1.4 times more memory bandwidth and 1.8 times more memory capacity then the H100. In December of 2023, AMD also announces their Instinct MI300X, which is used to train and run large language models. This MI300X has 1.5 times more memory capacity than the previous version. So we're seeing things move at a pace which is even faster than what Moore's law predicts. This isn't just exponential growth, but accelerated exponential growth. So, with the current pace of things, computing power might not be the limitation of AGI anymore. Even if we're not there yet, we're going to get enough computing power very, very soon. I haven't even talked about quantum computing yet, which is a topic for another day. So going back to our topic of AGI, it seems like computing power and hardware isn't the problem here. Training the AI also isn't a problem here. We've already trained superhuman AIs that are great at various tasks. So this raises my suspicion. Since we already have all the pieces, shouldn't AGI already be achieved? Maybe it has been achieved, but it just hasn't been released to the public. Maybe it's too dangerous, too profound, too revolutionary that it's kept behind closed doors, and everyone who knows about it has their mouth shut. And this brings us to Jimmy Apples. Jimmy Apples is a Twitter account from someone who seems to be an insider at OpenAI. Now, this is going 100% into conspiracy territory, so do take everything with a grain of salt. I'm not saying this is credible and you should believe it. It's just a Twitter account of someone we don't know the identity of. We can't verify if what this person says is true, but it's hard to dismiss this Jimmy Apples and what he says because his leaks about OpenAI are surprisingly accurate. So here's a document compiling his predictions across time, which I'll link to in the description below. Here's the thing. On March 4th, he predicted the exact date of the GPT-4 announcement, which was on March 14th. He also said GPT-4 should have image recognition as well, which it did later on. That was GPT Vision. He predicted the name Gobi. Now, Gobi is this new multimodal language model from OpenAI. Multimodal language models are able to understand and generate text, code, images, and other types of data. So it's not limited to just one type of data generation that we see with, for example, ChatGPT. In this tweet in late October of last year, Jimmy writes, "There's been a vibe change at OpenAI, and we risk losing some key ride-or-die OpenAI employees." Then in mid-November, as we know, Sam Altman got fired for an undisclosed reason, which I'll talk about in a second. There were some major disagreements with the board and top folks at OpenAI. No one saw this coming, but Jimmy Apples wrote about this a few weeks beforehand. And here's what we do know. This is verified. So GPT-4 finished training in around July or August of 2022, but it wasn't released to the public until mid-March of 2023. So there's half a year of delay from when it was finished to when it was released to the public. In January 9th of 2023, so not this year but last year, Jimmy Apples wrote this. OpenAI withholding the 125 trillion multimodal version, which can generate videos, images, etc. till 2024 due to safety. Generate videos. Sound familiar? Literally no one was talking about OpenAI making a video generation tool. So when they released Sora in February of this year, it shocked everyone. No one knew that OpenAI was doing this, including most of OpenAI's employees. They were only informed about this very shortly before the press release of Sora. But this guy, Jimmy, wrote about this over a year beforehand. This is January 9th, 2023. Sora was released February 2024. So there seems to be a recurring theme here. There seems to be a pattern where OpenAI finishes building something, but they don't actually announce or release it to the public until many months later. GPT-4 finished in July of 2022. They didn't release it until half a year later. Same thing with Sora. They released it 13 months after it was finished training, if what Jimmy Apples claims is true. And like I said at the beginning of this video, this scene from Sora looked surprisingly similar to this scene from NVIDIA Omniverse, which was published 7 months before Sora's release. Given this pattern of OpenAI delaying the release of their projects to the public for many months to over a year, could it be possible that they actually have AGI already? They just haven't released it yet because it would be too dangerous. And here it gets crazier. So in this post, he claims that GPT-5, which we know nothing about, completed training in October of 2022. What everyone wants won't be out till mid-2024. So if this is true, they're delaying this by almost 2 years. And finally, most concerning of all is this post in September of 2023, where he says AGI has been achieved internally. That's all there is. There's nothing else, just a very short, simple sentence. AGI has been achieved internally.
The tech world has been thrown into chaos over the weekend when the company that gave us ChatGPT fired its CEO. Sam Altman, who has drawn comparisons to tech giants like Steve Jobs, was dismissed by the OpenAI board Friday.
So this brings us to Sam Altman being suddenly fired by the board of OpenAI in November last year. Why was he suddenly fired? Nobody really knows at this stage, but there is compelling evidence to suggest that it had something to do with AGI. Now, this whole story of Sam Altman being fired and then Sam rejoining OpenAI and forcing the previous board members to resign, this can be an entire video itself, which I'm actually planning to do, so stay tuned for that. But let's go back to why he was fired. We do know one thing for sure. When OpenAI was formed, it was intended to be a nonprofit. It was intended to be open to the public, for the public. And it has a board of directors which provides oversight to the company and makes sure everyone follows ethical and safety standards. So if the people at OpenAI have achieved something like AGI or something that is beyond what they had expected, something that's too dangerous to release to the public, the board of directors has the right to slam the brakes and shut that thing down. So in November of 2023, a board coup took place, and the board fired Mr. Altman after losing confidence in his ability to continue leading OpenAI. They claimed that he was not consistently candid with the board, so he didn't tell the truth. It seems like he was holding something back. What that thing he was holding back could be, as of today, we don't know, but there is compelling evidence that this thing could be the AGI that we are talking about. A few days after Sam Altman was fired, this document was leaked on 4chan, which is like Reddit, but people can post anonymously. Now, this is where we head back into conspiracy territory, so again, I'm not claiming this to be the truth or not the truth. Please do take everything with a grain of salt. Just be aware that this was leaked by someone. And in fact, there's an entire document which lists out various leaks and what people say about this document, including some comments, and it explains the technical details of this document. First, we'll go over this document, what it actually talks about, and then I'll discuss its legitimacy. Is this real, or did a troll just make this up? So, first of all, it looks like from the title, this is a reply to an ongoing thread. And then in the first sentence, it says, furthermore, Qualia has demonstrated an ability to statistically significantly improve the way which it selects its optimal action selection policies in different deep Q networks, exhibiting metacognition. So this name Qualia is what we know as Q star. Now, is Q star the same as AGI? I'll talk about that in a second. It says it has learned to select its own policy in different deep Q networks. So deep Q learning is a type of reinforcement learning which is used to train the AI. It's used for the AI to learn. Deep Q is also used to train, for example, AlphaGo, or to train AIs to play chess, play StarCraft, etc., where you give the AI a set of rules and you give it a goal and it would try to maximize that goal. But in this case, instead of just selecting the next best move to take in a chess game, for example, it can also select the policy. And this has never been seen before. Basically, at a very high abstract level, if you think of this AI as a brain, not only can it just learn things, it can reconfigure its neurons in the brain to improve itself. It can reconfigure itself to evolve over time to get better and better. And then it later demonstrated an unprecedented ability to apply this for accelerated cross-domain learning. Cross-domain learning, does that sound familiar to you? Remember, AGI is an AI that can perform tasks at the level of humans or better than humans. across different domains, right? This is not just text generation or image generation or video generation, but it can do all of the above. And so this is saying this AI also exhibits cross-domain learning. It's not limited to just one domain. And then it says, following an unsupervised learning session, it analyzed millions of plain text and ciphertext pairs from various crypto systems. So it was fed millions of pairs of these plain text and that same text but encrypted with various crypto systems. So this is important. Let me repeat that. It analyzed millions of pairs, and each pair was plain text plus its encrypted counterpart. And then this sentence is key here. Via a cybertext-only attack, it provided a plain text from a given AES 192 ciphertext by using tau analysis in a way we do not fully understand. So it was given this encrypted text. AES stands for Advanced Encryption Standard. It was given this encrypted text, encrypted by AES 192, and it was able to decipher it. It was able to uncrypt it, basically, back to plain text by using this algorithm called tau analysis in a way that they do not fully understand. Now, this can be catastrophic. Just this one sentence. If this is true, it could destroy society. Encryption is at the core of our economy, our society, everything from our account passwords to our credit cards to private government data, company data, your social media, your messages. Everything is encrypted. So if there's a way for AI to decipher or decrypt the data, then we are literally screwed. Society would not function properly. The stock market would collapse. Because, for example, for the stock market, we don't get like a piece of paper for every share that we own of the stock, right? Everything is digital. Everything is encrypted. So if this AI could find a way to just decrypt everything, then all the shares of everyone in the stock market would become invalid, basically. So if this is true, then this would be catastrophic. Now, before we move on, let's talk about the legitimacy of this. Is this real or did some troll just make this up? So if you look at the comments here, there's not a lot of comments that are screaming that this is a troll, this is invalid, this sentence or that sentence is fake. What people are saying is that it's strangely technically accurate and alarming. And then they go ahead and explain what these terms and acronyms actually mean. So again, we don't know if this is a troll or if this is real, but the way it's written, if this were a troll, that person would have to be very knowledgeable in the AI space. A normal person wouldn't be able to know all these terms and write such a thing. It takes a lot of effort and knowledge to fabricate this if it were the case. Plus, you can see the way it is written resembles how a top AI expert would write things. It's very objective, it's very data-driven, it's very to the point. There's no emotions in this text. It's just, we found this, we did this, etc., etc. You can see there's no explaining here. It doesn't explain what is AES, it doesn't explain what is Project Tundra, it doesn't explain what is NSAC, which I'll talk about in a second. There's a lot of technical jargon which is not explained because this is part of a thread between other AI experts, we assume. So again, just from the way it's written, just from the technical content here, it seems unlikely that a troll would be able to make this up and not get caught. So, all right, assuming this is legit, let's move on to the next sentence. So they found that this AI was able to decrypt an encrypted text. If this was true, it could wipe out our economy and our society. So someone informed someone at the NSAC the following day, confirming that the result was indeed legitimate and it had not been achieved in any other way. Now, what is the NSAC? It says down here that NSAC stands for National Security Agency, Colorado. It's the NSA location that is closest to San Francisco, which is where OpenAI is located. This discovery apparently is so crazy, so profound that they needed to contact the National Security Agency. So next sentence, they also found a vulnerability for the MD5 cryptographic hash function, which is another crypto algorithm, but it has not yet been thoroughly evaluated due to the technical sophistication and possible AES vulnerabilities, which they found above over here, being a considerably more pressing concern. So not only did they find a vulnerability in this AES where they proved that this AI was able to decipher it, they also found another vulnerability in another cryptographic function called the MD5. But they didn't investigate this further because this AES thing was an even bigger concern. So I'll make a video that goes more in depth about why Sam Altman was fired and, what exactly is Project Tundra? What does this document entail? So stay tuned for that. But going back to our topic of AGI here, is this Q star AGI? We can see in this document that this Q star exhibits metacognition, plus it has cross-domain learning, both of which are characteristics of AGI. It can optimize itself and get better and better over time. Now, again, you could dismiss this whole thing and say it's just written by some random guy on 4chan who we don't know the identity of. Nothing has been verified to be true. However, shockingly, a few days later, after Sam Altman was rehired as the CEO of OpenAI and asked about this Q-star document, he calls it an unfortunate leak. So, did he just admit that this document was true? Did he admit that, yes, they were working on this Q-star project? That's for you to decide. Finally, I want to end on one thing, which is Google's paper called Levels of AGI. Because AGI also contains a spectrum. It's not just like one type of AGI. There are different levels to AGI. So they outlined it pretty clearly in this table here. So in this column, it's narrow AI. So again, these are AIs that can perform specific tasks very well. So you can see we've already achieved up to the level of superhuman. It outperforms 100% of humans. We've made AIs that can beat the best Go players, chess players. It can do protein synthesis. It can pretty much ace medical exams. It can solve the world's hardest math problems. We've already achieved superhuman level for narrow AIs, AIs that can do specific tasks very well. Now for AGI, again, this is an AI that can do tasks across different domains. It has metacognitive abilities, like learning new skills. And gosh, doesn't this sound very familiar to this Q-star document, which also mentions this term metacognition and cross-domain learning. But anyways, where are we at right now? So Google claims that we are at this stage, level 1, where it's emerging. It's not fully there yet. It's not as good as half of skilled adults. So it would even classify ChatGPT and Bard and all these large language models as emerging AGI. So the next piece of the puzzle, the next step is competent AGI. Can we make an AI that is able to learn, that has metacognition, that can beat at least half of humans? And honestly, given everything we've discussed today, given all the advancements that we've had in just months that are beating record after record, it's not hard to believe that AGI is already here. And if it's not here, it's going to come in a few months. So all the evidence that I've shown you in this video, again, a lot of it is conspiracy, so take it with a grain of salt, but they all point to the conclusion that AGI has already been achieved, at least to some level, by OpenAI. They've just kept it behind closed doors and hopefully restrained and locked in chains, because if released, and if this Q-star document is true, it can have such catastrophic, such profound worldwide consequences that we humans just could not handle it. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of this. Do you think it's legit? Are you aware of any more evidence that I did not include in this video? What do you think of AGI? Are you scared, excited? And what do you think this means for humankind? As I've done research for this video, I've also gone down a very deep rabbit hole on Sam Altman and what's going on with OpenAI and Elon Musk's lawsuit. So I'll definitely be doing a video on that very soon. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this content, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. Also, we built a site where you can search for all the AI tools and apps and find jobs in AI, machine learning, data science, etc. Check it out at ai-search.io.